That was an old man mount onto the bike.
You're in the grunt state of life?
Yeah, I'm in the grunt stage. Well, what's going on, guys? This is Carl with the RacerRed channel. Doing Ridecast with my buddy Lance. He's the president of the Desert Rats, and he's been doing a lot of cool stuff to get the races going. So figured I'd talk to him while we're riding, try not to crash. How's it going, Lance?
It's going. Doing the same. Glad you invited me out for this. Put a little attention onto the club scene and what all's going and why it's important. So, anyways, yeah, I just started, took over as president of the Rats. The club had kind of been on the downs for the last couple years, and I didn't want to see it go under, so I stepped up because there wasn't a whole lot of action going on. It's been a big challenge, and I didn't realize really like how much work goes into this. It's a lot of work, a lot of man hours, a lot of dealing with things. Because we're dealing with the BLM, the Department of Lands. The Department of Lands so far hasn't been too bad to deal with. They're just kind of, you pay your money to them and they do their thing.
Yeah.
But BLM does a lot of studies, and they got people that try to find reasons why you can't do something, and which it hasn't been like super bad, but it is there. That aspect is there, but
yeah, I bet it's a shock trying to work with so many different people to get one thing done. Because you're trying to get one thing done. I mean, the purpose of the club is to get a race going every year,
right?
And so to do that, you've got to work with so many different people. And I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah, and and part of that struggle is you know, you put a race on every year, and you want to make something, you know, you want to change it up. You don't want to just do the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And you know, it's limited. You got a race area that has, you know, a race approved area, and you're limited to that area to hold races. And where it also becomes a challenge is, you know, we have another club that also races the same area. So
yeah. So you're trying to keep everything new and fresh every year for the races.
Yeah, doing something different and putting some content in, so yeah, you know, there's something new, and that's a challenge in itself as well, especially because you know, a lot of the club members, you know, race each other's races.
Yeah.
So, you know, you would think, oh, it's just easy to, hey, let's coordinate with these guys, and they're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we can't really tell each other, you know, where our course is going to be and stuff, because it's not having, you know, not have people out knowing where the course is.
You would not believe the size of the rock you just threw at me.
Oh, is that what that was?
Oh man, it hit me right in the stomach, and and then it landed in my front brake guard and sat there for a little bit before it fell. It was like taunting me before it fell off. It was like, take that, sucker!
Yeah, right.
Oh. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No problem. So anyways, yeah, that's part of the hard part of it. And then also stepping into a club that's kind of been not doing much for the last couple years has also been a challenge in its own, because we got trying to get everyone back together which that's been going pretty well. There's been a little bit of some stuff to deal with, but I think right now we're sitting good. I got everything, BLM's approved our course, and I'm just waiting on our treasurer to cut some checks so I can turn the permits in, and then the next deal will be to start locking down, because you got to get insurance. The AMA provides insurance too, but you got to get insurance, and you got to get bathrooms, you got to get ambulance, you got to get a radio crew.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that
yeah, I don't think most people realize how much stuff goes into, you know, holding a race, because man, you've got just the course alone has to be marked, and that requires a lot of people to go out and not only GPS the whole thing, but then you have to mark the entire thing. And we're talking like, you know, depending on how you set it up, 50 or 100 miles.
Yeah, if you're doing 2 loops, you're marking 100 miles of course.
Yeah.
You know, or around, you know, because most typical race courses are anywhere from 90 to a little over 100 miles. So
how should people get connected with these clubs? 'Cause I don't know if a lot of people really know how to start. Like, I know a lot of riders who would probably love to join a club, but they just seems like a distant entity to those guys, probably.
Yeah, the best way is you can get on the Cidra's website, and they have the contact information on how to get a hold of clubs.
Yeah.
All the clubs I know, I mean, everyone's happy to have new members, because it takes a lot of manpower, especially when it comes down to race time. To, you know, you're talking about, you need all the people. Oh, there's some ice.
Oh boy.
And you're talking about needing people to run the pit. You need people to,
oh boy,
you know, work checkpoints, work road crossings. It's a lot of manpower. You know, going through and marking, course. That's a problem, especially because you it's not like you get to go out like way ahead of time and really start putting a whole lot of course marking down.
Yeah.
You kind of go out and roughly mark it, because you don't want people riding your course, pre-riding the course, so you got to keep it kind of low key, and so then you get, you know, within a few weeks of the race, you really got to get out there and put down course markings and stuff like that. So yeah, club membership is a huge thing. Like, if you race, you really want, even if you don't race, I mean, to get out and help the sport is a big thing nowadays. And yeah, all the clubs welcome people to come and help out, because it's no small task to put on a race. So
yeah, a lot of people probably don't even really consider what it takes. I mean, you go out to a race, and I know I didn't know. Like, I would just go out to these races, and I'm like, oh, you know, a guy came out here and put some ribbon up. Cool.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of guys.
It was a lot of work. And
yeah, and really, that's the. I mean, I've been a club member for about 4 years now, and that's the fun part. You know, you get to go out and run the race course and put out the markings, so you get to, you know, a day of work on a bike is it really a day of work, is the way I look at it.
Yeah. How have you seen things change the last, you know, 5 or so years in the motorcycle racing world? I know I've seen the clubs, like when I first started, it seemed like there were a lot of people showing up. It seemed like there was just a lot going on, and maybe that was just kind of because of COVID or something. But after that, around like right when I quit racing, I guess 23, 24, it seemed like we were losing a lot of people, and it seemed like all the clubs were dying off. In fact, I know Sidra was in a bad way there for a little bit.
And I noticed that too, and I can't really put a reason as to why. I haven't really seen a whole lot of reason as to why. It's just kind of one of those things that happen. But I know Sidra right now is really pushing to get clubs back into it. They actually got incentives that they're doing to help clubs start up. Yeah. We actually have a few new races on the race schedule this year. One that's really cool is Citra is going to be working with, I think, MVDR to put on a hare scramble at Tamarack. So that would be a really cool race to go participate in, because that's fresh. I don't know of a race ever happening there before. So
yeah, but that's what I've noticed this year is we've got a lot of either new races or old races have revamped. Oh, that cow is totally he's challenging you.
Yeah, he wanted to play chicken.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of races are on the schedule this year, and that's awesome. I like it. But I've also seen in past years all the clubs kind of get really close to just withering away and disappearing. I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think that's good for the motorcycle community as a whole, or the youth, or anybody.
Yeah. They, like I said, I don't know really what the factor, because everything seems to be picking back up. I know, you get generational things that happen. You get some people that are stepping away, put in their time and don't want to do it no more, and it requires the next generation to step up. Yeah. And take the bull by the horns, and I think maybe a little bit of that was also an issue. You see it in all facets of life now with some of the younger generations like to have the fun but don't want to do the work.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to crap on everyone in the younger generations, but just from experience and in my line of work and everything, you see it. Yeah. You see it in all lines of work. When you go to the store and go to the fast food or whatever, you see where there's some lack of enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah. But I mean, from what I'm seeing lately, as of so far this year, it looks like things are stepping up and taking a turn for the better. Yeah. And so hopefully that's a trend that'll stick through for a while. It's kind of nice to have politics working in our favor right now.
Yeah, the administration really does affect local
big
government.
time.
Yeah.
It's almost annoying to, you get on some of these dirt bike pages and people don't like to talk politics or don't want to talk politics in their dirt bike riding, but in the reality of things, it does affect your dirt bike riding.
Yeah, there's no getting away from it. And I know it exhausts me to even interact with the BLM, what do they call those? The comment periods. It's exhausting. You have to go through this entire convoluted, complicated process to even have your voice heard at all.
Well, and on that, you're not even having your voice heard. Right. When you're doing the comment periods, when they're doing TMPs, travel management plans is what TMP stands for. But when they're doing that stuff, they already have what they want to do. It's already planned. So when you do comments, and I was ignorant to this at first too, and I was actually kind of schooled by a guy that's very experienced in dealing with this stuff, and he the key of your comment is not to stop them from doing something at that point in time, but when entities like the Blue Ribbon Coalition and stuff, you know, these pro off-road entities that will now take the fight to court.
Yeah.
And what the substantial comment does is it gives them fuel, and you know, when they're battling them in court.
Yeah.
And the point of the comment is in it, and that's where it takes a lot of work. Is you have to go into their travel management plan, and you got to find discrepancies. Like when we went through and their last time they were doing them out here, you'll find that they're using studies out of the Pacific Northwest and then applying them here to the desert. And you're
and studies done on roads instead of trails.
Yeah, you know, well, that and just rainfall difference. You know, how are you going to judge erosion and you know, how soil is going to affect things when you're comparing somewhere that gets 40 inches of rain a year to somewhere that gets 120 inches of rain a year? You know, it's you're comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah.
But all they do, if you look at everything, it's never they're never finding information to keep things open. They're always finding information to close things down.
Right.
And
whether
unfortunately,
it's owl habitat or desert tortoise, it never helps us.
right? Yeah, exactly. It's always finding reasons to get man and machine out of an area and let it go back to completely untouched. And you know, it's frustrating, you know, because you're, as American citizens, this is our land. The BLM doesn't own this land. This is our land.
Right.
You know,
and that's what people...
They're just there to manage it, and they're managing it for one party.
Yeah.
Not the other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what people don't really understand when they say public land, like keep American land public. Well, by public you mean BLM owned, and the government owns it, and they take control of it, essentially. And I know that state land is way more lenient in terms of what they allow, and they don't have so many sub-entities coming out and controlling it.
Right. Yeah, so, and right now, like I said, I mean, with the Trump administration kind of put the kibosh on some of the stuff that the BLM was trying to do, because, you know, they're wasting tax money on trying to shut something down instead of spending it somewhere where it'd be better used.
Well, part of what really gets to me is the fact that we don't know what's happening. And you're right about putting in your comments. I mean, your comments are essentially to reduce the effect of the decision that they've already made. Because last time the BLM started closing the Waihe's off, and it was so quiet, like nobody knew what to even do. And pretty soon somebody sounded the alarm and got everybody involved, including you and I. And like the guy from Blue Ribbon Coalition came to Moto 1 and explained how to put our comments in. And
right, yeah, exactly. It got a lot of traction.
But we found out that was happening through those channels, but the BLM doesn't make it obvious. They don't make it easy or obvious.
Oh, they don't have to tell us anything. They just open it up. Right. The only reason you find out, you know, we find out about things like that is being active in organizations that are pro off-road, like the Blue Ribbon Coalition and stuff, because they're on it. They're watching this stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, Treasure Valley TVTMA, they got big dogs in the fight, and you know, they do good of spreading the information, making sure everyone knows. And
yeah,
it takes all of us, you know. a war ain't won with one soldier. So
I was just amazed at how difficult the process is to even be heard, and then how silent everything happens. It's not like they do a big public thing where you can just click on something to vote yes or no or whatever. It's like, no, this is happening, and in order to do something about it, you better have people in the know to be able to point you in the right direction. And not only that, you better have your trail numbers exactly right, and you have to use a certain map to find those trail numbers. Like when I did my original comment, I was using trail numbers just from my maps, but you can't do that. You have to go to their specific map, and there's like a big long trail number of random letters and numbers on there that you have to enter for each route that you're contesting or whatever. So
yeah,
it's a real pain. So what was your first ever motorcycle?
So my first motorcycle wasn't even actually a motorcycle. When I was in kindergarten, my dad got me a 1983 Honda ATC 70.
ATC 70.
And that was mainly my dad was never into dirt bikes. My dad was more into bass fishing and bass boats, and so I never I didn't really get influence from him for the dirt bike thing. I kind of just got that going myself.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the grocery store with your mom, and she wants to go take a quick peek at what magazines they got, and I seen cool shiny dirt bikes, and that had me hooked from there. Like I said, because my dad was never really into it. He just basically, you know, bought me a three-wheeler. I had that for a really long time. We moved from one place, and my dad ended up buying a 32-acre ranch. So then it moved to some just bigger three-wheelers and farm bikes.
Yeah.
Just work bikes. He finally got me an old crappy 1980? No, it was a 79 Yamaha YZ80.
Ah, classic.
And, yeah. And that thing was a piece of crap. The carburetor slide the tube was stripped out on the carburetor, so the guy had it just duct taped on. So that thing ran like crap, but
that's funny.
I think my dad's big purpose on that was just to get me used to riding a dirt bike before he bought me something a little more strung out.
Yeah.
And after I had that for about a couple years, he got me a 1992 YZ80, a brand new one.
Oh yeah. Now we're talking. That 92 YZ80, that was a beast.
Yeah, exactly. And then plus that was around the time Damon Bradshaw was, big thing, and that was my guy when growing up, dude. I used to love watching him race because he was aggressive. And so yeah, I got that Yamaha and had that for a while, and then made the horrible decision probably my sophomore year in high school to sell that and buy a 1983 CR480.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason I could even start that bike was they had a left-hand kickstarter, so I was able to stand it next to something, stand up on it, and kick it with my right foot standing next to it.
Yeah, I think KTM kept that style until like 96 or 97.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's for the little guys to be able to start it. But yeah, I had that death trap for a while, and then actually kind of backed off of dirt bikes and stuff for a little while. Just like I said, my dad wasn't into it, and so I didn't really have any influence to push me. I never really had any formal, riding with anyone that was more than just riding around an orchard,
Yeah.
And that really didn't change until I moved up here.
Yeah, and it's hard to really progress and get to be like a really skilled rider unless you have other riders around you pushing you.
Well, that, and if you don't got a skilled rider to observe, you don't learn bad habits are bad habits.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
You buy a dirt bike and you've never rode with anyone, that seat's for sitting. That's what that's there for, right? You're like,
that's exactly right too.
And it's just, you get years of training yourself and learning to ride on bad body positioning and stuff. So
yeah.
But I really, once I moved up here and started riding around, and really with the racing is what really did it. When I was just looking for places to ride and started watching some YouTube videos, and then you find out that there's desert racing out here, and I was like, man, I'm gonna start messing with that. That's cool. I'll learn, meet new people, learn the area, and did just that. Also, just improved my riding substantially. It's not like I'm some spring chicken. I'm 47 years old. So I didn't even really start working on getting rid of bad riding habits and stuff until I was in my dang 40s.
Yeah. I guess you can learn new tricks.
Right, yeah.
So that AT70, did you, that's a three-wheeler, so did you pretty much learn on that, and were you able to transfer that straight to a dirt bike?
I mean, you got handlebars, brakes, and throttle to deal with, so
there's a little balance, I guess.
Yeah, you get that. The three-wheeler, you're not really worrying about exact, balancing a dirt bike, and that it didn't have a clutch. It was just a one little auto clutch vehicle. So
yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how much bikes have changed since that time.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how huge the change has been.
Recent years, I don't know if I really like them. What do you think of the future of dirt bikes? Do you think we're tapped out? We're pretty much topped out as far as...
No, we're just barely on fuel injection systems and ECU mapping. We're barely tippy-toeing into where the automotive industry has been for a long time. So I think there's still plenty of innovation and to come that we haven't seen yet. Stuff that's in the automotive industry that's going to trickle down to this once they figure out how to make it and make it work. And because there's a lot of things involved. I think the dirt bike industry is a little better about not so much working for max profit as they are innovation, where you see in the automotive industry max profit is the goal.
I've kind of noticed that with my R1, it's a 2008 R1, it seems like so well made. It doesn't really seem like that thing's ever gonna break, knock on wood, but it seems just so bulletproof, and that seems like the case with a lot of motorcycles. But then you go to cars, which have been around forever, they've been developing forever, and you get just a lot of limits. I don't know, is that just because of profit, do you think?
Oh yeah, there's just from being in the automotive industry for the time that I have, which has been 25 years, you see where they decided to skimp to make profit. And There's actually a video floating around on YouTube, and it's an interview with a dude that was an engineer with GM, and he eventually, he talks about why he quit and this and that, because they would have problems, and he would come up with solutions, but the solution was too expensive, so they didn't want to do it, even though it was the right thing.
Right. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and especially nowadays with the cost of a new vehicle. I mean, you look at a new Chevy truck, and you're bare minimum paying 60, 70 grand for not even a fully loaded one.
Yeah.
And to pay that much money in the the manufacturer not putting the effort into it, it's pretty crappy.
That's disheartening, man. And I have come to the conclusion over the years, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning probably, but you've been working on vehicles for a long time, and you're the best mechanic I'm aware of. I mean, you're an awesome mechanic. You've been working on stuff for 25 years, and you've seen the progression of these different models and where they're going with them. So you have a lot of expertise there. But yeah, for me, I see vehicles totally differently now. Like when I was 18, I would like a vehicle because of how it looked, and I'd go after that one that looked cool.
Right, yeah, you're just after the new shiny thing.
The new shiny thing, yeah. And to me, I see new shiny vehicles rolling down the road these days. I'm like, what a piece of junk.
And you're right. And it's not just one manufacturer. I mean, get an appointment to go into a dealership at any manufacturer, and they're going to tell you they're 2 weeks out.
Yeah. That's wild.
And like, I get to work and you look in the service drive and it's all brand new. So much brand new vehicles. It's insane. And I mean, there's multiple factors that contribute into that. I mean, as you strive for new technology, the vehicles become more complicated and more trying to think of how to put that, as they're just more, they're busier. The systems are way busier. You got twice as many wires.
Yeah.
To fit twice as many wires, they're using little tiny wires and little tiny wire connectors now. They have fretting issues and wires breaking from vibration, and so you get all this stuff that's failing like that, and that's one aspect. And then you also have just the manufacturer, finding the cheaper route to do something.
Yeah.
You'll have an engineer will design something, but the manufacturer doesn't want that exactly the way they designed it because it's too expensive. So, it's nowadays it's all about putting money in the shareholders' pockets. So
yeah, and you've got to make your vehicle have something not only different, but something that's exciting just about every year, so that consumers look at that and they're like, "Oh, I've got the one with the rotating tires."
Right, yeah, like I said, the shiniest new thing is,
the rear rotating tires.
But yeah, they got you see that, there's flaws in manufacturing where they've cut corners, used cheaper materials, and so you'll see a lot of failures that are related to that. And the older vehicles were, I think, probably going back to about the early 2000 vehicles was about the end of like high quality, like whereas things were still pretty high quality. I mean, it's just everything's so complicated now. It's hard to produce real quality out of it.
You know that I have a hate for Fords now, and I took you my Ford. It was a 2007 5.4 liter FX4, and that thing, I bought it with the thought that it was going to be reliable because it was low miles, it was fairly new, and it just looked nice from the outside looking in. it was a shiny thing going down the road.
Yeah.
And that thing, it wasn't new for one. It was 2007, which is, at that time, I think, what is that, like 15 years old or 12 or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, definitely not new anyway, but also everything on that was failing. Everything. It was just a nightmare that really kept me from doing a lot of stuff during that time period where I could have been out riding or filming or doing productive stuff. I was under that thing trying to figure out what the crap was going on with it. And man, I got so frustrated with it, I just sold it for a fraction of what I bought it for and got me a 2000 Toyota Tundra, and I've never looked back. I mean, that
right, yeah.
It's been a lot better.
Yeah, and that's Toyota's maintained for the most part is into that vehicle especially was still making pretty high quality. Some of their newer stuff, the quality has dropped down now.
Yeah.
But that just all goes back to just overcomplicating vehicles to make the newest, shiniest thing.
And it's weird that we have to go backwards in time to find good vehicles. Like you can't buy a brand new vehicle and be like, I got me a really reliable, awesome design. It's more like I got me a shiny new thing, but it's not a good car. It's not like a good car.
Yeah, you got, it's all a crapshoot. If you buy something now, is it gonna give you trouble? Is it not? There's people that buy new vehicles and don't have trouble with them, but
yeah,
with what you see in the service drive now, the troubles are more frequent, and the cost of the vehicle is skyrocketed just over the last few years. I mean, you look at where cost of vehicles has went.
Yeah, there's definitely an age of vehicle that you get back there far enough and you're like, okay, this one's, I love it, but it's more like operating a tank or a tractor than operating a modern day.
Right.
When I got that 64 Chevy, I'm like, oh, finally I got one that's actually made to just keep working. But
right, yeah, and when you do get a failure, it's real simple.
Yeah. But it's just so fun to drive that thing. I love driving it. You get that grind when you put it in gear, and you just feel the mechanical parts all fitting together when you're driving that thing, and it's so fun. There's so much human input on that thing. But that said, you can't cruise the freeway with it going 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And you can't have AC or very good heating. I mean, there's a lot of niceties like road noise, reduction and all that you're just not going to have when you're talking about a 64 Chevrolet C10.
Well, and you look at, if you think about it, back then, a lot of the stuff we mentioned now wasn't a thing the public was looking for in a vehicle.
Yeah.
That old truck, that thing was made to throw hay bales in the back.
Yeah.
And haul stuff around. They didn't care about road noise. They didn't care about anything other than that thing, make sure it started in the morning and it did its job during the day.
Yeah.
Now vehicles are more of a toy.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, they're designed to make you really comfortable and to be exciting. I've heard countless people.
Whoa! Oh, I caught my front tire.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm good.
I've heard countless people talk about just their goal for retirement or whatever. Their goal for retirement is to own a new like big huge diesel or something like that, and that's like what they're waiting to retire to. They're waiting to retire so that they can finally afford one of those.
Right, yeah.
Whereas they could retire like 10 years earlier, 5 years earlier if they don't do that. And it's insane to me. I mean, these things cost like $60,000, $80,000.
Oh, easy.
Just to roll down the road.
A new diesel, to get a new loaded like High Country Silverado, $111,000.
Oh my God. That's so insane to me.
Yeah. I bought my first house for $85,000, so
yeah,
that always trips me out when I hear those numbers.
Not that long ago, I bought a house for $125,000 in Caldwell. That's less than some of the trucks.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Well, I hope that if technology comes this direction into 2-strokes and 4-stroke motorcycles, well, just motorcycles as a whole, I should say, I hope that that technology isn't the crappy kind that is overcomplicating our new vehicles that makes everything suck.
Right, yeah. And like I said, I think motorcycles are more geared towards performance than anything, so
yeah. Yeah, it's like you say, I mean, I do think you're right about that. I think it's geared toward performance. And in 2008, like I said, that R1 I've got is so awesome. I love that thing, and even the new R1s I haven't really heard any issues with, and I'm only using that as an example because that's what I've got, but it just seems like they're durable to me. But dirt bikes, I think a dirt bike should be mostly mechanical. I don't really want too many electronics unless they're absolutely bulletproof. I don't want them controlling my ride if I'm out, 40 miles away from my truck in the middle of the mountains.
right.
I don't want to become a hiker with motorcycle boots, which makes me really slow and an easy meal for a grizzly.
Right.
Which I've never seen in the wild. I've only seen black bears, but I heard they're releasing grizzlies.
They're probably just like they did with the wolves.
Yeah. Well, they say they're only releasing a few of them, like 12 or something like that, in the, I think, Washington mountains. But those are going to travel.
Right.
So I don't know why they're doing that, but then other people have witnessed helicopters dropping off grizzlies in Idaho. Somebody sent me a post online. I don't know if it was really Idaho or not, but they said it was filmed in Idaho, and they had this grizzly that was being dropped off in the middle of the mountains from a helicopter. I was like, huh, if that's real, that's a little bit alarming.
Yeah, because the thing you got to think about is before we had all this environmental activism, man got rid of its competition.
Yeah.
And a grizzly's an apex predator. Y'all good? And so yeah, you're gonna see, and I mean at least wolves, they don't want nothing to do with you for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been, other than seeing wolf tracks, I haven't even came across and physically have seen a wolf.
Yeah.
But you get a grizzly bear, on the other hand, that comes out of hibernation and he's hungry.
Yeah.
He's just looking for protein. He don't care where he gets it.
Right. Yeah. And wolves, like you say, I've seen a lot of wolves out there. They don't necessarily want to have anything to do with me. And granted, I've never been on foot. I've always been on a motorcycle. And that's why I don't want to end up on foot, because I know they're out there, and a lot of people go missing. I mean, a lot of people. And where do you think they're going? I mean, people always tell me there's been very few documented deaths of, mountain lions, grizzly bears, or black bears, or wolves. And I'm like, okay, well, when you're on foot and, you have all these hikers that have gone missing, that's because they're getting eaten, for sure.
Yeah, when you never find them.
Yeah.
You're like, where did they go?
Yeah. They just happen to be around national parks. There's like that, I can't remember what it's called, like Missing 411 or something like that, where they talk about all these people who just vanish.
Right.
And I mean, it could be something like some crazy trafficking thing, but I doubt it. I think they're being trafficked right into the belly of a giant bear. That's just my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous world out there in the mountains if you're not making a little noise and on the move. But I always get people asking me, if I've seen grizzlies or if I've had trouble with bears. My answer is no. For one, I haven't seen a grizzly, but I've seen a lot of black bears. No, they will eat you as well. And
yeah, they're just not as big, so
yeah,
they're not as near aggressive as an animal, but they can be.
Yeah, I've come across a bunch of them though. I mean, I've seen probably 12 or 15 of them out there. I see them all the time. Have you seen a big change in just our culture in general, like especially because you did a lot of riding in California, whatnot? So did you see a big culture between there and here, and are we getting more similar to that, or is it just people are people and we're pretty much the same?
Well, I think, like, as for dirt bike culture, I dirt bike riders are dirt bike riders. You have your different groups, and there's California actually has a lot of amazing trail systems out there, and the way they've been able to keep us off of it was with like the red sticker thing, where if you had a competition motorcycle, you can only ride from October 1st to May 1st.
Yeah.
And they actually had recently, well, I say recently, probably I want to say it was the last 5 or 6 years. I think it was. Don't quote me on that. But they were talking about doing away with the red sticker system, and at first glance, that seems like a great thing. I know a lot of dirt bike riders that were like, "Oh, dude, they're getting rid of the red sticker season," but there was a nefarious reason behind it. And what they did is now, if you can't even register a 22 or newer competition motorcycle in California, they won't give you a California registration for it.
See, I made a video saying that, and I got so much backlash from Californians saying, whatever, we have just as much freedom as you, and these laws aren't affecting us. They're just being
in denial, but it's 100% a thing. The red sticker permitted a season to ride competition motorcycles, and now with California, you go buy a brand new YZ450.
Yeah.
You're not getting a California title for it. You get a what do they call it? A slip of ownership, or it's kind of basically a proof of ownership, and it can only be used for closed course competition. You can't get a California off-road sticker for it and go ride it up in the forest.
That's just dumb.
And that's like where and it had been that way. A lot of people used to get the CRF 450Xs and the WRs and the XCWs and stuff that had that California. I don't even know if California green stickered the XCW. I know the WR and like the 450 X's would get it because they had emissions.
Yeah.
And those bikes you can ride all year long, and so before you just get a red sticker for your competition bike, and now you buy a new fucking bike, you're not getting a sticker anymore. You're not even getting a California registration. You're just getting a title of ownership, basically.
Yeah.
And all you can do is take it to closed course, private property and closed course tracks and stuff like that. So
yeah.
And I don't know if anything's changed recently about it because I don't pay close attention to California's off-road situations because it's
a different planet. It's a different country.
Yeah, there's a reason I left the place, you know.
California stand.
I didn't want my kids raised there, and I was getting sick of the restrictions.
Yeah. And that seems to be why a lot of people leave there right now is, for one, crime is insane. They're doing away with all of their police, and they're also restricting you into a state where you can't really do anything, you know, that involves any type of freedom, really. I mean, I think this is a mentality that a lot of, you know, people that live in the cities get too, is they think they're enjoying freedom by going to the gym. You know, they're going to the park and walking. Well,
and you know, you get different groups of people, and they live where they live because, you know, that's what their deal is. It's like me, you know, I could sit at home all day and play video games, and that's my deal, you know. And for some people, that is their deal.
Yeah.
And I think you just get different groups of people. The thing that annoys me the most is when you leave a state to somewhere that's better, you know, that suits you. Like Idaho suits me good. I'm off-road enthusiast. I love riding dirt bike. I love the outdoors. I love fishing and hunting and doing all that stuff in my freedoms and gun rights.
Yeah.
And then you see people that move here from California, and then they come here because it's cheaper. You know, you got better tax code, you got all this stuff, and they're enjoying all this, you know, that part of it. But then they want to start imposing all these California type laws, and they want this done and that done. You're like, dude, are you that blind?
Yeah, you're going right back to where you came from.
Right?
You're making this place like that.
Like the cheaper cost of living and the freedoms that we have aren't going to be here no more if you sell them off for your little projects.
I've noticed that a lot of people that come from California, they have a vigilante perspective on how to ride a motorcycle, because everything's illegal for them, so they end up jumping barriers and climbing random hills and being just totally vigilantes. And I know that our culture is more like preserve everything perfectly and like make sure everything is in order, and we can kind of get self-whipping because we blame ourselves here in Idaho for every closure. It seems like I hear it all the time. And
a lot of that has to do, like, on the California side. So, and you see it with the national hare and hound races, is some of California's places aren't just trails; they're just open riding areas.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how the Hemingway Butte parking lot is. You know, that whole little area there, it's open to you know, ride, climb, whatever you want. And there's a lot of California that's that way. And so when that's how you've known to ride, you know, you don't know that that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And they get stuck. And I'm not saying that everyone's innocent of being ignorant to knowing that you can't do that. There's just people that don't give a crap. And I've met natives that do the same thing.
Audio
and
sounds
I've met people from out of state. You know, I think it's mainly more the person than it is where they're from, actually. I didn't notice this caught on fire. I haven't been through here since this caught on fire out here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh my God, that was the longest stint of robot nonsense of random noises.
Oh, was it tweaking out on you?
Yeah, it's freaking out.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were being so quiet.
I could just hear a beep. Ah, oh,
I was like, oh, I must have struck a chord with Carl.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. But now it's good. This is what it does. Like, it does this every single time.
After you get so far in, something must get hot and start tweaking out.
Yeah, and it does it at the very beginning. Like, at the very beginning, it started doing it a little bit, and then I haven't heard it since. And then it just did it again for, like, that was a long time. I don't know what you were saying, for about 2 minutes there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but now it's totally fine again. Weird. Well, anyway, I'm sure you were talking about the how Californians ride and how they're
yeah, what I was saying was basically, you know, well, and where you get it, like, you see it with the national riders that come out of California. When we have the races, you know, they're blowing all over the course, but there they don't have to. They got, like, I think it's like 16 feet, 20 feet, 16 feet or something like that of course to use. So to them, they're just racing how they race.
Yeah.
But here we're held to, you know, staying specifically on the trail.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's amazing how many good riders come out of California, especially in freestyle motocross and motocross. Seems like everybody's in Southern California.
Yeah, there's. I mean, the Southern SoCal has a lot of riding opportunity because it's desert down there. So, and like I said, there's a lot. You know, I think a lot of people look at California and they think of one giant San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it's not. You know, like where I grew up the town I spent most of my life in was Hickman, California, and there was we moved there. I want to say there was like the population was 518 people.
Yeah.
And the majority of that was just farmers, and you know, some people that supported the small nearby towns. So there's actually a lot of conservative people that come from California that didn't grow up in a city, you know, weren't just city slickers throwing on a set of boots and gonna play fucking cowboy now, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of like people, you know, they kind of view Oregon that way too, like as in Portland and the whole coast of Oregon, whereas Eastern Oregon is all covered in really conservative values and like totally different.
Well, and the reason why what you notice is because you only notice the bad.
Yeah.
The normal people fit in. They're just normal to you, so they don't stand out to you as something other than just, you know, normal person.
Yeah.
Then you get the blue-haired, you know, overweight person wearing a mask because for their safety, although they're obese, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, they want Big Daddy government to control everything and give them everything because they don't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
And then you get those people, and those are the people that people like us notice.
Yeah, that's a downward spiral. That's a topic that I always get on, is allowing government into your life. And I always say there's like definitely this direct correlation between how safe you want to be and how free you want to be. You have to be unsafe if you want to be totally free.
Yep, you gotta have a little dangerous freedom.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you gotta allow people to have guns. You gotta allow people to go out and ride dirt bikes. You have to accept a little bit of noise. You have to accept a little bit of what you perceive as damage out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and you know, and you look at it this way, the human being is a sophisticated machine.
Right.
We're made for challenge. That's why we are what we are. That's why we've produced everything that we have in our life is us trying to make our life easier. So we have to have difficulty, or your brain's not going to work right.
Right.
And I think we're seeing that culturally now. Is, you know, no one has a fight to survive like it. You know, there's people that make their life hard because of drugs or whatever they choose to do.
Right.
You know, but I think that still stems back to the bored brain.
Well, and you know, we have an epidemic of obesity of our poor communities, not not starvation. And that's because we're so wealthy as a nation.
Yeah, we're giving them everything.
Yeah, we are given everything. You know, people think they have a right to survive. In fact, I've gotten into arguments about that, and you really don't. You have a right to life, but that means your government can't kill you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Your right to survive is you to fight for survival, and that's what. Like, I get back to the bored brain. You know, if humans end up with a bored brain, it's gonna find ways to keep busy.
Yeah.
And sometimes the ways it chooses to keep busy aren't productive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big point, really. I mean, we are designed for hardship. We're designed to do hard things, and if you don't have hard things, then, which is everybody, by the way, like, nobody really has anything hard to deal with in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, figuratively speaking, our lives are, look, I mean, what are we doing right now? We're out riding dirt bike.
We're intentionally doing something dangerous. Right,
yeah, and we have our life's so easy that we can afford to do this.
Exactly.
You know, 200 years ago, we didn't have time to go do this. We were getting food gathered and things to, shelter made and this, that. You had all the real things of survival to worry about.
Yeah.
The basics of survival.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of men kind of romanticize in their minds too, is going out and surviving and just being away from all the tech and stuff, because it's in our nature, really, to go out and survive. I mean, even when I think about it, I'm like, that'd be really fun to go out and, like, just be on your own and not have any electronics and stuff. But
right, that's why we camp. That's why we go camping. We're going live action role play of survival.
Exactly. We're like, oh look, I'm in the mountains. I'm a mountain man. I'm basically a mountain man. And then we go back to our RVs.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you definitely have a point though. When you don't have something to focus on, you start making problems that aren't actually problems. And when people ask me if different things, I don't know, are good or if it's easy, it's not really. I'm not really after the easy. Like, this could relate to anything in your life, really. I mean, I'm not really after it to be easy. I'm just, there's no depth in that. Like, your whole life is fulfilling because you have depth, and depth comes in hardship. With pretty much anything. I mean, if you had it easy and you're always happy-go-lucky, you'd be probably not that happy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Do you have any brand loyalty?
Don't really. I mean, my main brand loyalty is not so much loyalty because I just tribal about it, but just from experience of quality. I've owned a lot of dirt bikes throughout the years and vehicles. Well, with cars, I'm a GM guy. My dad was always a GM guy, so I've always been a GM guy. I'm a GM tech now, so why would I own something else when I got, I have all the factory training to work on these things and whatnot.
Yeah, you know exactly what to do on those. So, is there a best model ever?
Of like GM vehicle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, truck-wise, I would say probably like the 2003 Silverado, about 2000, 2003. They had the typical transmission issues, but that was actually a pretty cheap transmission to fix, and the engine's just basically a Lego set. It's so simple. Those GMLS engines are by far the simplest engine to work on. GM didn't get all crazy with going with dual overhead cam or anything. I mean, Dodge really didn't either, but
yeah,
I've worked on a few Dodges too, and they have their little things that make their things harder, at least for me. And that's speaking to somebody that's worked for GM. I know technicians in the other fields that cuss GM, and I was like, man, I don't know, dude. I've worked on a Ford or a Dodge, and I've had some pretty foul things to say. So, and for them, those things are easy. So I maybe it's all experience.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Kind of depends on what side of the pool you're playing in.
Yeah, probably, if anything, like dirt bike wise, I've been pretty happy with KTM's quality. Yamaha's pretty bulletproof. From my experience, I've owned a few Yamahas.
Yeah.
Honda's been good too. I just don't like the Honda ergonomics really, so they've never really felt good to me.
If I'm gonna resell a bike, I go with Honda, because that's what people buy like right away.
Yeah, and that's all stems back to because Honda's always transferred their quality from their their cars for the most part for a long time were high quality, and that transferred over to the motorcycles. They had their issues, like the early 450s had the titanium valves that stretched and made those things just horrible to start. But on the other hand, that was also a super easy engine to tear apart. So, I mean, it wasn't hard to do a valve job on them. So
that's funny I say that, though, because I don't own a single Honda except for my little tiny mini bike.
Right, and that thing will be, as long as they hold on to it, your grandkids will be riding that thing.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a trail bike. Pretty much any trail bike like that, they've got them down pat, but especially that little Honda, it's just going to be around forever. Yeah,
the only manufacturer that I've had consistent problems with was Kawasaki. I mean, I don't think I've ever owned a Kawasaki that didn't give me some sort of issue. My kid's KX85 is the only Kawasaki that I've ever owned that hasn't gave me some sort of bullcrap issue.
Well, that's funny you say that, because my dad always says that, and I've never really owned Kawasaki's, but it's funny because you've had a lot of Kawis in your garage, so I thought you were a fan of Kawi.
Yeah, no, I just get them because they're cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm a mechanic, so I'm not scared of problems, but
you're just aware of what's going to go wrong with them, and you just,
I will give Kawasaki, like, for ergonomics wise, they're great. They feel great.
Yeah.
But, they've always felt comfortable, but I've always, like I said, I've had problems. My son's KX65, the first hour we were out riding it, the Kickstarter wouldn't stop ratcheting. It wouldn't engage, so I had to push start it.
Oh boy.
I mean, this was got it for his birthday, took it out that weekend, let him go ride it. He got to ride it for an hour, and then it was push starting it from there on.
Oh no.
And that was his first clutch bike, so it was there was a lot of starting involved with his first ride on that thing. So and then I had bought a brand new ZX10R in 2012, and that thing also ended up being I think I got to 700 miles on it, and the engine, the top end started clattering, and it turns out I took it back to the dealership because it they only have 700 miles on it.
Oh man.
And so they looked at it and said they couldn't find anything, but when I got it back, it wasn't clattering anymore. And so I talked to the service advisor, and I was like, "What'd you guys do?" And he's like, "Oh no, you just got to go out and ride it." And I was like, "Dude, I was getting ready to race AFM, basically." Me and a guy I rode with, where he actually went and got the license. I got kids instead. But he's telling me I just gotta go out and ride it. I was like, dude, I got race leathers with wore out knee pucks, dude. I know how to ride this thing. Let's go this way.
Yeah, that's really annoying when the dealership tells you stuff like that. And it just,
Well, and what it ended up being was the timing chain tensioner wasn't automatically adjusting itself.
Oh.
So
okay.
it ended up, it ended up doing it again in about another 500 miles, I wanted to say. 500, I think I was like right around 1,200 miles on the bike, and it started doing it really bad again.
Yeah.
And so I called them, and I brought it back in to them, and they basically blew a bunch of smoke up my butt and didn't offer me any help with it. So I, of course, did what everyone does. You jump on YouTube and start figuring things out, and guys were backing off the bolts a little bit on the tensioner to get it to click one time and then tightening it back up. So I did that a few times on that bike, and Kawasaki never came up with a fix for that. They never, not in the time that I owned that bike, they never put any work into fixing that issue.
Wow, that's terrible.
And then luckily that bike ended up getting stolen from me, so I got out from under that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty bad when you buy a brand new bike and it does something like that, and they never come out and have a fix for it.
Right, yeah.
That's a whole nother chapter of your riding, though, is riding on street bikes. I mean, you did that for years.
Yeah, I had I actually was on I got my first street bike, I think it was 2000 and I want to say 2005.
Yeah.
And I got a GSXR 600 and started riding that. Didn't really have any formal, street bike experience. Didn't have anyone I was riding with that really had any formal street bike experience, and I ended up blowing the engine up on that thing, and then saved up some money and ended up getting a 2006 GSXR 1000. And then I ended up running into some guys that rode with a bike club, so I started riding with a bike club, and then we started doing track days and stuff. And I'll tell you what, anyone that's listening to this, if you also ride street, go do a track day. I mean, that's the most fun you'll ever have on a sport bike.
Oh man, I've considered doing that for so long.
Oh, do it. Don't sit on it, dude. Just do it, because on the street there's so many variables you have to worry about, and when you go do a track day, the only variable is it's like going in it's basically like racing. You go in you're going on a track, and it's a whoa, we got a little bit of ice here.
Oh boy, that's a lake.
But got a little quiet there for a minute. Had to pucker up, couldn't talk.
That's not what you want on the Ridecast.
Right, yeah.
Going head first.
Yeah, I already spilled it once. But yeah, you get out on the racetrack, and then you're not worried about cars coming around the corner. You're not worried about being up in the mountains and coming around a corner on full lean, and there's dirt across the road, or dead animal or whatever it may be, something that's going to cause you to go for a slide, and you could really, really put it down. And then you'll find out too, because a lot of times at the track days, like there was this guy, his name was Dave Moss. Whoa! And he this was a bad choice of a trail, huh? But and he had been a suspension guy for factory teams, and you'd give him $20 and he'd send you out for a couple laps, look at your tires, set your sag up for you if you could, get your clickers dialed in. And I mean, much like you wouldn't think on a street bike that the suspension setup would be that detrimental, because you know, coming from dirt bikes, you're like, you know, you're setting your suspension up to really soak up, you know, hitting whoops or, you know, hitting landing jumps and whatever. You know, you got a lot going into your suspension, but it's amazing how much the suspension on a street bike, getting that set up makes just a huge difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, if you haven't done a track day, I would highly recommend getting you some leathers and going finding a track. You know, and the thing that sucks here is that there's nothing that's really close.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a track in Utah.
Yeah, Utah I think is the closest one. I remember there was some talk of someone maybe putting a road course track in Emmett, but
A little slick around here.
yeah, a little icy ice.
Yeah, I've considered doing that. I actually got an invite to go to the Utah course, but
Yeah, do it, dude. Don't. It'll be like I said, that'll be the most fun you'll ever have on your R1 is going and do that. I recommend anyone do it. Your riding level will just, you know, it's just like racing. You know, you go and your riding level goes up every time you race.
yeah. Yeah, the old R1, I think it's set up pretty stiff. The two leader bikes I've had, I used to have a 2002 GSX-R 1000. That was set up pretty soft in the rear, and you would roll it on, the back would squat down, and you'd be able to wheelie it so easily, which I liked, and it was comfortable on the street. I didn't need anything too crazy, but the R1 I've got now is so stiff, and it does not squat, and it does not wheelie. Even if
and that's actually might not be a bad thing, because my GSX-R 1000 was phenomenal for wheeling, but then you went out on the track and it would completely chew your front tire off. Like just a couple laps, it would already start peeling your tire. And that was because it was forcing too much weight. It was balance biased towards the rear, and so it was putting all the weight on the back tire, not the front, and causing the front tire to slightly wash the whole time you're in lean.
Yeah.
And it was just chewing tires up. And after I did that, it wasn't as good for wheeling, but it was phenomenal for going fast.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth whether or not I want to play with the suspension on that R1. I know it's going to be good for railing corners, and I can feel that up in the mountains, but it's a little bit rigid, and I like to wheelie those things, so it's hard. Like when I hit the clutch and just redline that thing, I can barely float the front end. It just pulls you back against the seat and just rockets you forward.
Right, yeah. That's what it's supposed to do.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's designed for. I just have fond memories of the 02 GSX-R 1000 with that sloppy rear end. You just blip the throttle and it would come right up. It was insane. Speaking of gaming, man, I got to get you on Division 2. I'm still trying to convert you.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time doing that because Battlefield 6 came out.
Oh.
That's a beast of a game right now.
Battlefield 6, huh?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to convert you to Battlefield 6 so we can go do some warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game, Battlefield, is, I guess you could, in a way, like it's a first-person shooter, kind of like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But where it differs is that it's a legit Battlefield. Like you do conquest mode, and there is helicopters, you know, Hueys, attack choppers, there is tanks, personnel vehicles, and the soldiers have their roles. You know, you got an engineer that fixes the tanks and and attacks the enemy vehicles, and it's a blast. I absolutely love Battlefield. It's my favorite war game.
Dang it, my attempt in converting you failed.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have to convert you.
Yeah, I've been playing Division 2 trying to do it every Friday with my brothers, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a sweet game. I like it. It's really in depth. I play it on Xbox, and it's really in depth. That's what I like about it. You can fix up every piece of your gear and customize every piece of your gear. And
yeah, I actually I started playing when Division first came out. I started playing it, and it was I got involved. I actually got fairly vested into the game, putting time into it. But then I ended up morphing back to Battlefield and Call of Duty. And then now I don't like Call of Duty anymore because they just made it too political. Like you look at their development team, and it's a bunch of fat blue-haired,
that sucks.
Yeah, so you go on there, and when you set your player up, you can choose a flag and this and that, and there's like a handful of flags, and there's 40 different kinds of pride flags to pick from.
Oh, great! They're probably using squirt guns.
Yeah.
That'll be a later one.
You're right. Yeah. It's so I kind of gotten away from that, and luckily Battlefield 6 came out, and they made Battlefield great again. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I've noticed that with Division 2 that they aren't American for sure. I don't know where the people are that work on the game, but definitely not America. And I haven't noticed anything too crazy political yet. But
and it wasn't when I used to play it, so I don't know, because it's Ubisoft makes Division, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it's Ubisoft. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
laid off like 300 people or something like that. So people are worried about the Division being a thing in the future. Well, thanks for doing the Ridecast, man. It was fun.
Yeah. See if your pappy's over here.
Yep. Also, people watching this, you got to join the Desert Rats. Join up. Become part of the cause. And he's not here. I don't know where he's at then. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.
His name is RacerRed. If he wasn't riding, he'd be in bed. He naps during the day. He rides his love in garage bays. Oh, he rides all night, full throttle all the time. Oh, he was born to ride. Red Racer, like, comment, and subscribe.